believe is absent. And then under staff, we would have Roy Lee, Tyler, Jeff, and my gosh,
Taylor.
I got it. So I can't see who's all there, but I'm just called out. So I'd like to send a policy guidance. And now I will read the mission statement. To provide, promote, or facilitate municipal services that meet the community needs by preserving, supporting, and enhancing quality of life for all. The next is the approval of the agenda with any additions or deletions. Is there any additions or deletions needed? Hearing none, would someone approve the agenda as presented?
I'll move the approval of the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded, motion carries. The next is our delegations or presentations. The first one is Catherine Brown, Barrington Area Community Health Clinic. Does someone move for Catherine Brown to come forward, please?
I'll move that Catherine Brown come forward and do a presentation.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded, motion carries. Catherine, would you please come forward? Thank you. So you can begin anytime you wish.
Thank you. I would like to thank Municipality Council for having me in this evening. I'm just in today just to give a description on the status of where the Fairburn Area Community Health Clinic is at up to date. Just to let you know of the services that we have available now and what we're going into the future with. And first off, I would like to thank you all for the generous support you funded for us recently for the maintenance cost of our public washroom. That was dearly grateful for that generosity, and so I did want to say that personally to you tonight. And everything is up and working well there, and maintenance has been completed. And so second, I'll go into the services that we have available right now at the Fairburn Area Community Health Clinic. Just 2 years ago, we recently had our part-time physician retire, and so we have been with a physician for some time, and post-COVID as well. And so we don't actually have a nurse practitioner or physician right now at present. We do, I will list off the services that we do have provided, and I did bring some pamphlets this evening as well, if I could leave for the counselors to take back to their districts for any one that they know in their place that would like to have some information on the clinic. The more we can get out there right now for the clinic, the best we can provide for care for everyone in and around. So right now we do have weekly massage therapy at present. We have 3 massage therapists in. We now have foot care and orthotics available, and we have both that group comes down from Greenwood, and they're down every 3 weeks now. And we also have electrolysis. Michelle, she comes down from Windsor, and Amelia comes for acupuncture down from Greenwood. So right now we do have quite a few healthcare professionals coming down from the valley to the clinic, and our massage massage therapy are weekly. And so those are just some of the services that we have at present. And I am a volunteer as a hub in the Bear River and surrounding areas for the Digby Cancer Health Fund Association. So that group raises money to help those that need assistance to travel outside to their appointments, could be for treatments, and to see their specialists. So we provide gas cards for travel for that. So I do have those available at the clinic. And we also have information under the Nova Scotia Health Authority for mental health and addictions on nicotine cessation. So I do have sources I work with in the Valley that are going to actually be coming down in the near future to hold clinics in regards to those topics. And I do have, like I say, pamphlets and other information on healthcare available at the clinic. So anyone wishing to come by anytime can come in, and I can certainly provide them with that information. So next, we can go into the virtual care that is the latest we have right now available. And so this came into effect last July, and we will be coming up on July 13th as our first year anniversary for maintaining and holding this service. And I like to say Nova Scotia Health Authority did approach us last year, knowing that we were without a physician and a nurse practitioner, and asked if we would consider becoming the first hub in the Western zone to start this service for those that are without a family physician. So I'll briefly go through this. It is there is a lot pertaining to this PowerPoint. So just to let you know a bit about virtual care, it is a remote interaction between patients and the healthcare provider or team using approved virtual care technology. And of course there is the privacy and confidentiality that we go through with every patient coming into, so they know all the terms and conditions under that. And at any time during a virtual care appointment, the patient themselves can certainly stop the appointment at any time if need be. There's no no discrepancy over if they're not comfortable doing the technology, so the healthcare provider can follow up with them by phone at a later time. And so just to give you an idea, for virtual care, what it does help, it removes the barriers right now for those that someone that's experiencing that is preventing them from signing up. So it's devices and high-speed internet, technical knowledge, computer literacy. So those are some things that people in and around the area, if that's not provided for them at home, we have a safe space at the clinic that we have developed so someone can come in for that appointment. So it varies. We help them, those that do not have that information at home, access to the internet and devices. We can have them do their virtual care appointments here at the clinic and in that safe space. And we do help those that actually have those devices and internet at home but are unsure, uncomfortable just actually setting up on the program. So we do a variety of care under this program. We can initially have a visit with someone to come in and do that appointment, and from A to Z with it, or we can have people come in with their own laptops and devices and help them set up to make sure they're on the correct program, and that once they've set up and are logged in, then they're comfortable to do it at home. So that's another session of the virtual care that we can help with as well. So just going through, and the benefits, it's helping you right now for those that are without a family physician. It's a care that can be provided until they are placed on with a family physician. So this is not sign up with virtual care doesn't mean that you're in with anyone in particular, a physician or nurse practitioner. It is a care that is temporarily provided for you until that service of being on with a family physician is provided. So I just kind of like to make that clear for people, and so that there are benefits. You're able to have prescriptions, lab reports done, X-rays, and if in turn during your appointment that they feel you need to, the physician or nurse practitioner feels that you need to be seen in person, then they arrange for an appointment to be done, and it is done here locally at the Digby Area Health Service Center, and those appointments are usually arranged within 1 to 2 weeks to be seen. So those are just some of the benefits for this, and to completely be qualified to be on this program, you do need to be registered under the Family Practice Registry. So when our physician left 2 years ago, we did stress to everyone that at that time to be registered under 811, and then they would be placed on need of family practice. If anyone in your community ever questions 811, they can call me, because I have done a lot of work with 811 since our physician has left. Just to elaborate, the stats at the government and provincial level with the healthcare, they take that into consideration, and it breaks down for the physicians and nurses to look at to see where in the area doctors are needed. So it is very important that they register for 811 beyond the need of family practice, and once that is established, they will be qualified for virtual care in Nova Scotia. And that is a 2-week waiting period after they're registered with 811. Then after that, they can come in and I can help them log in to virtual care. So that is important for the 811. And I'm now being trained for Zoom for healthcare, and that will soon be another virtual technology program that will be able to bring you in if you have to see the specialists. I will be coordinating with specialists all over Nova Scotia, and if they have so many people designated in the area that I work out of, then we can set up appointments for those people to come in, and it will save them some time and money to travel to go to see that specialist. And telehealth appointments are as well coming up in the future. I'll be doing some work with mental health and addictions for those tools, and online bookings, and the patient portal. So those are all things that are in the works at the Bear River Clinic, and I would imagine between now and the next probably less than 6 months, I will have my training in all of those parts, and we'll be offering those to the clinic. And so the virtual care app, that's I stress is the most important thing when registering for virtual care in Nova Scotia is that the icon there, Nova Scotia Health, that you are under that icon when you're registering. So it is a bit of work to do it. I won't say that it's not, because it's a pilot project they have been working at this Samson year, and we have overcome some of those barriers. But sometimes where it is under the platform of Maple, it can sometimes switch over. It's sometimes computers have been their own. But in that aspect, we can combine if something were to happen that we were on the paid maple for healthcare, we can put that together with the Nova Scotia Health. So some people worry that they may register, but they get registered under the paid maple, but that's still okay. Even if that happens, we can merge the two accounts together. And that's all on the website. It's much more clarified now. So I just try to stress it's not anything that can't be overcome now because they have worked really hard to correct those barriers now with that. So I think, what is it again? So with registering for virtual care, to use virtual care, you need to be on the Family Practice Registry, have a valid Nova Scotia health card, and be able to access the internet on a computer or mobile device. You need to have an email address and be located within the province when using virtual care. And the Virtual Care Maple app, this is a program, now this is free on the need of family practice, and that's another thing we try to stress to the public. And you will never be asked for payment. So if you are trying to log in, or you know someone that has been, and they're saying, well, they're asking for payment, and that, then that's a sign right away that they are on the paid maple for care, not under the Nova Scotia Health. And but like I say, those are things that we can correct now. So we just go on to Zoom, and which I spoke to previously, and that will be very similar. Patients at home will receive an email, and through that email, they'll have a login. So those that want to do that to come to the clinic, they just have to bring that information to me, and I can help them do that in the privacy of our virtual room. So, and that's, I think that's pretty well prepare for virtual appointment. And preparing for the appointment is to make sure you have your health card. You do need 2 pieces of ID, mostly your health card and driver's license is appropriate. And you just review your invitation and make sure you're in a quiet spot and comfortable position, wear clothes that are comfortable, test your devices. So it's everything that you would do if you were having to be on a meeting with anyone at that time for anything. So overall, that is virtual care in Nova Scotia. And lastly, I'll just mention, so we have been successful launching virtual care as well, and so we will be continuing with virtual care. And right now, we have been undergoing a new website, which our clinic wrote and applied for funding for healthcare recruitment in the Digby area, and Bear River, an area community health clinic, was chosen for that. So we are in the works of launching a website by August of this year, and right now we have received the funding, and we're working on a pamphlet, and we'll be doing a fundraiser as well. And this next 2 months, we'll be at the farmers market in and around the villages and communities to promote this. And we're very, very pleased that we have this available now. So this will be the recruitment in hopes to reach out to physicians and nurse practitioners in and around Canada and elsewhere to hopefully they may consider coming to the area and having established their home and workplace in Digby or Bear River. So the Office of Healthcare Professionals Recruitment, and it's the community fund. So this is where we're at present, working towards the website and having more media out there for where we are and what we have to offer. And so we may be in the rural area, but we do have a lot cooking right now. So we're making sure that funds are there and people are available to meet with us, and we appreciate having this time tonight to be able to let you know where we're at. So, I think that was it for me.
Is there any questions from council? George?
You certainly got a lot going on. What hours are you open at the branch, and what days of the week?
Right now, I'm 7, Tuesday to Friday, 8:30 to 4 p.m. And I did bring the pamphlet,
Okay.
which I'll be Taylor. And so I guess we just really want people to know that even without a physician nurse practitioner right now, we are still able to provide medical care. We did have the Premier come in on May 9th for a visit with Jill Balzer. We had reached out to Jill recently, and they did pay a visit and had a tour, and we had a great talk. And virtual care was on the agenda. That was stressed that it's not going anywhere, so it's staying. And I guess this is something that is important to reach out now, that even though it's as a filler to help people out prior to them going on further to be with a family physician, it will always be there for help in some ways for those individuals.
Is there any other questions?
Yep. Do you assist on the mental health intake? Like when people do you do that there?
No, not. It would be a professional from the Nova Scotia Health Authority in the Valley. Mm-hmm. So they're interested in coming down to do sessions, and they're hoping to do some group sessions in the future. Apparently, just prior to COVID, they were starting to get out in the community more, and they were as far as Cornwallis, and so they have reached out to me just a few months back and said that this is something we want to bring back since post-COVID, and they had heard about our facility, so they know we have space available now, so we're looking to set up with them in the near future.
Thank you.
Angela, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention about the mobile clinic. I know they were there one time.
Yes, we have had that's right. We have had the mobile clinic here, and waiting to hear on their return. I know they have had a shortage of staff recently, so they were to get back down. So we did have them for an afternoon back in May.
Yeah, no, I visited the area a few months ago, and I think it's a wonderful program, and I hope that it does get promoted, because I don't think that, especially people with an ongoing condition, need to be face-to-face with the doctor, and it would take a lot of the strain off of the doctors that we have in Digby now. So I think it's a wonderful program, and I'd like to see it promoted good, and we'll do our best to promote it here.
And I think the drugstores are also a great support system with referring people for virtual care to our clinic. And in turn, we do support the drugstores always, but especially with Balzer's Pharma Choice. Yeah. Pharma Choice. They've opened up as a primary care place as well now. So we're joining together in all around to help people. If I can't get someone on virtual care on that day, if it's all booked and there's too long of a wait, then they're able to. We've tried calling the drugstore same day, and they've been able to fit that person in. So yeah, we're working together with it all in the situation that we're in.
Is there any other questions? Well, thank you so much, Kathy. I really appreciate you taking the time to bring us your presentation.
Okay.
And have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like we should give you a little round of applause. Made it through.
Our next presentation is from Bailey Ross about policy amendment request. Would someone like to move for Bailey Ross to come forward?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carries. Bailey, would you come forward?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Dear Municipal Warden and Council members, I thank you for accepting to listen to my proposal this evening. My name is Bailey Ross, and I'm speaking to you as a resident of this municipality, a municipality that I've called home for over 24 years. I communicate with you today during what is a month that I hold dear to my heart, Pride Month. As a proud and forthright member of the 2S LGBTQ+ community, I evidently feel very strongly about inclusivity throughout our communities and our country. For decades, my community has fought tirelessly defending itself against systemic and societal discrimination, verbal, physical, and sexual violence, and contemporary bigotry stemming from archaic beliefs that prevent our society from advancing. When Pride Month began, I asked that the municipality would be flying a pride flag during the month of June, an inclusive gesture that a government can do to support our community. To my dismay, I learned that the flag policy prohibits such an action. With the assistance of your own policy, the Municipal Government Act adopted by the provincial government, the Province House Courtesy Poll Policy, the Nova Scotia Human Rights Act, and the Town of Digby Flag Policy, I would like to explain to you why your way of thinking is flawed and outdated. The wording of your policy regarding those who may be represented by the flag is rather peculiar. The policy states that the purpose of this policy is to provide a fair and consistent response to groups and organizations requesting that their event flag be flown from the municipality of the district of Digby flagpole. It is problematic that you are classing the 2S LGBTQ+ community as a group or organization. In fact, such a definition goes against the definition established by the Canadian federal government. Ottawa recognizes us, the 2S LGBTQ+ community, as a community of your citizens, a community of your flesh and blood. We are neither a group nor organization. Therefore, your policy does not apply to the pride flag. In fact, your policy not only prohibits my community from being represented, with the exception of the First Nation flag, it prohibits any minority population of the municipality from being represented. There are many communities here with deep historical roots, notably the African Nova Scotian community. Like any citizens, we pay taxes, we abide by established laws, and we partake in our civic duties. Alas, unlike the majority population, we are in a constant struggle against xenophobia stemming from primitive ideals. So that we may continue to enjoy the equivalent rights and privileges of our non-2S LGBTQ+ friends, it is vital that we may remain visible and remind our government officials that we are still present and proud. As the saying goes, we're here, we're queer, get used to it. Visibility cannot just be limited to the governed. To garner the support of the many, we depend heavily on the recognition of our governing bodies to provide institutional visibility and legitimacy. Although you are a small government compared to that of larger houses of assembly, you still wield heavy institutional power. Your government is the true boots on the ground that takes the temperature of the people and also sets the tone of local habits and values. This notion of setting the tone of local habits and values is supported by Section 9A, subsection C of the Municipal Government Act of the Government of Nova Scotia, in which it states that a municipal government must develop and maintain safe and viable communities. Communities are neither safe nor viable if a government wishes to hide its members. A policy that is enacted to avoid representation is fundamentally flawed in a modern democracy. In Section 171, subsection 2, it states that a bylaw shall not be inconsistent with an enactment of the province or of Canada. Since 1991, the protection against discrimination towards folks' sexual orientation has been included in the Nova Scotia Human Rights Act, and gender identity expression was added in 2012. Furthermore, the Pride flag has been flown on numerous occasions at both the Nova Scotia Legislature and Parliament Hill for a variety of occasions, such as the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, Biphobia, Pride Month, or to make a political statement against homophobic regimes, such as when the McNeil government rose the flag during the 2014 Olympics in protest of Russia's homophobic policies. It is abundantly clear that your policy is out of step with the provincial and national standard. It is quite disappointing that this archaic policy still exists when the surrounding municipalities have modernized their approach. I advise you to read policy created by the town of Digby. They have a very clear and progressive policy that permits different communities to be recognized on a special purpose flagpole. As per Appendix C, list of reoccurring flags, the 2S LGBTQ+ flag is even recognized as one that is flown annually without the requirement of a formal request being submitted. In the municipality of Clare, they began flying the flag in 2019 during the Pride Week festivities. As recently as last year, the flag was raised for the entirety of Pride Month. With such progressiveness surrounding you, you have no excuse behind which you may hide, no valid excuse that you may use to argue me today. This policy is outdated. This policy is lazy. This policy must evolve. It is so disheartening to see government policy that suppresses the visibility of vibrant communities that exist, especially in this current social climate. Even in the recent past, I am deeply hurt to watch other municipal governments refuse to modernize their policies, to watch legislative bodies restrict the rights of my community through blocking literature in schools, through slashing curriculum, and worse still, impeding on the rights of its people. Every day, the news is full of articles regarding further violence against my community. This violence happens in our own backyard. Daily, we get belittled, we get harassed, and publicly humiliated by those who feel that we do not deserve the same rights that every Canadian enjoys. This year, students at a Haligonian school burned a pride flag and posted the video on the internet. This happened in Nova Scotia, our home, our backyard. Violence against the 2S LGBTQ+ community has become so severe that the federal government has earmarked $1.5 million to subsidize the increased security costs required to ensure that Pride events across the country can be safe for all participants. This is now the world in which we live. Therefore, I propose that this government should amend the flag policy to permit the construction of a special purpose flagpole on the property of the municipal building that permits the flags of minority communities in the region to feel recognized, to feel accepted, and to feel empowered knowing that their government supports them. You have the power to make this change. You have the power to be more inclusive. I urge you to exercise your abilities to modernize your policies. It is with much hope that this speech served the following two purposes. First, to beseech you to reconsider the flag policy, that it may be more inclusive, and second, that you understand the important institutional role that you play in a modern world. By changing this policy and giving the 2S LGBTQ+ and other communities the visibility they deserve, you will truly be able to preserve the past of those who have fought vigorously, who have sacrificed so much for the freedoms that my community enjoys today, and to develop our future inclusive policies that will make Digby a truly inclusive and welcoming community as per your very own vision statement. I thank you for listening.
Thank you, Bailey, for your presentation.
Linda, David has his hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, we've got unscrupulous politicians whipping up hate towards vulnerable minorities for votes. I'm really glad you're here. I've tried to do something about that policy myself, and I strongly believe that keeping quiet in the face of hatred is tacit approval. And I think that this is a chance for council to show a little bit of quality and a little bit of integrity for a change. No, sorry, not for change. I would very much like to see that you listen to these people. And the only reason I think for that we don't have.
David, it's the whole council. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I don't think this is right. I don't like that. The only reason to not do this is cowardice. And I totally agree with that.
Is there any other questions or comments from any of the other councilors?
I'll be definitely taking this again to council, and I strongly encourage you guys to get a hold of the other councilors, let them know that you're people,
David,
and put some pressure.
you are out of order.
We will, David. Bravo.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
There is never any measure taken after a presentation, but if someone is willing, we can ask our staff to take the policy, look at it, modernize it, and bring it back to council.
Yep.
I would need a motion on that, but I am again going to say this is the first time we've had anyone ask anything about the flag policy. So I'm hearing that. Is anyone interested?
I would like to make
in
that motion that we refer this to staff, and perhaps they can review the background of the policy, and, maybe some of the areas why the staff in 2007 made the policy in the first place, and so we can look at both sides, and,
I think that was when the Truro refused to do the LGBT flag, is when the brave policy of not flying any flags
No,
came.
it had nothing to do with Truro. Came back during Frederickson. So again, please get your facts correct. Is there a seconder to Angela?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. Thank you very much. Three. Is there any errors or omissions in those minutes?
Thanks, Bailey, for your presentation.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much, Baylor.
Thank you, Bailey.
Pleasure.
Are there any errors or omissions in those minutes?
I wasn't here.
I'll move acceptance approval of the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Is there any unfinished business for the minutes of May 23rd?
Nope.
Okay. The next is the CAO, the meeting reminder. Trying to pull this up.
CAO.
Okay. On July 4th, there's a bylaw policy. July 11th, there's no meeting. July the 18th, there's an audit committee. July 25th, there's council. No meeting on August the 1st. Committee of the whole on August the 8th. There is no meeting on August the 15th or August 22nd or the 29th.
Right.
Is anyone got a concern?
No, it works
No.
for me for the whole summer.
Yeah, if anyone could let us know if there is conflicts, just that those meetings are all key meetings, especially the July meetings in particular.
My 2 days off a year is the 13th to the 15th.
You're not allowed days off.
You mean my therapist? That's my therapist is saying something.
No days off.
Is there any action items from previous minutes anyone
Yeah.
wants to bring, or did anyone want to ask? Yeah, that was it.
See, our budgets are nice and close to what they're supposed to be. Always nice to see at the end of this year that everything comes. I'm always amazed at how accurate.
That's mostly me. Jeff and Corley helped a little bit.
You guys do a good job, and it's nice to never be surprised and never to be alarmed.
And so, again, assuming that later in this meeting we pass the capital budget, this will be the last time we get an update on this round of projects, but nothing has changed from the last council meeting on that, an update on the capital
Okay.
projects.
Is there any questions on the financial report? Since Coralie isn't there, we'll have to ask Jeff. Okay. We'll go to the standing committee items by policy recommendation. Melissa Camille funding request. Are you putting that up on the board, Kyle?
Yep, it's up there.
I've made lots of motions for her to get money, so sadly I'm going to make the motion for her not to get money. I move that council deny Melissa Camo's funding request of $2,000.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Nay.
Hopefully they'll keep asking about different things. Just no to that, that's all.
She was just asking about dogs, so, I mean, when she got the dogs.
Yeah, she's been a wonderful help. I move that council approve Digby Net Collective Society. Oh, oops.
Can you just hold on, please? The next is the Digby Net Collective Society funding request.
I move that council approve Digby Net Collective Society's funding request in the amount of $1,000.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded. The Nova Scotian Therapeutic Recreation Association sponsorship request.
Someone else.
I'll move that the council deny the Nova Scotia Therapeutic Recreation Association sponsorship request in the amount of $100.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. J-Class Road Agreement.
I was an A2 on that.
I'll move that Gordon Gregory
That makes it 2-2.
Sunderland authorized to sign the cost share agreement number 2003-009.
Your name?
Yeah, I was an A. Wait 1 second, Linda. There was a mistake. Digby, the asking for the $100 association sponsorship. I was an A and you were an A, and that's 2 yays.
2 yays and 2 nays.
So it still
So
fails. Is that right?
It fails.
Yeah, it still fails. Okay, yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Okay.
Okay, well, it was a failure. You can ask for the names to be recorded if you so desire.
I'm all right.
Okay. The J-Class Road Agreement.
I move that we sign the J-Class road agreement as presented by the province. Is that what I would say?
Yep.
Nope, that's,
Oh.
that's not what you
No,
would say.
oops. I move that Ward and Gregory and CAO Sutherland be authorized to sign cost share agreement number 2023-009.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried.
If I could just jump in,
Yeah.
if we could just make sure we're slowing down and speak nice and loud into our mics. We're just having a little bit of overlap here and we're double passing some motions and people are speaking over top of each other. So if we can just slow down and we'll pass these motions one at a time.
Just to make sure, Melissa Camo's was denied, Digby Next was agreed to, Nova Scotia Therapeutic was lost, so it's no. J-Class agreement was a yes. Okay?
Yes.
Next is Pace for Wells.
I'd like to move that council direct staff to explore options for PACE funding for wells and septic systems.
Is there a seconder?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded, motion carried. The next is the real estate due diligence letter.
I move the council sent a letter to MLA Jill Balser outlining the development and building permit issues that new residents have been experiencing.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded, motion carried. Truck and plow tender.
I'll move that council accept the bid from Bellevue Ford Limited for a truck and plow in the amount of $81,887.63.
I'll second that.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. From the Committee of the Whole recommendations, the capital budget approval.
I move the council approve the 2023-2024 5-year capital budget as presented.
I'll second that.
Any questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Business items coming forward. Bus shelter.
So if I could, you see attached in your package, we have a request. So the history behind this, just in case anyone isn't aware, so that location has recently moved, right? Dallow was with the NSCC. We had moved a bus shelter to in front of the mall when NSCC moved there, and the organizations were all clustered together. So this is a new request now that they have moved locations.
So would it be? It'll be a different location that the bus will be stopping at if we get this bus stop.
Yes, this is out in Conway, where CarQuest is.
Yes.
This would be an added one.
Okay, I was thinking the other school in. Okay, there.
So my suggestion before we say yes, if council was supportive of this, so normally King's Transit gets some capital funds that they get through the province, and that's where we normally fund bus shelters out of, that we explore both the capital funds and the logistics of can we install one in this location, just the road width, the sidewalk, and the parking lot. We don't own a lot of that area, so just like I say, before we say yes, it would be more if council is supportive of the idea, just some staff direction or motion that staff explore the possibility of a bus stop at this location.
What's the cost of a shelter? Any idea, rough estimate?
We haven't done one. I'm going to say since COVID or since like prices escalated. I think 13 to 15 used to be the costs. I think, if I'm correct, Warden.
1,300.
It was 10 for the building, and then you had to pay for the cement, which would bring it up to 13 to 15.
Yeah. 1,000.
Whoa!
Yeah.
For a bus building.
Bus stop. Yes, the buildings with four sides to them, made out of glass, made out of.
Well, I suppose glass.
Last for 20 years.
Is the municipality allowed to advertise, sell advertisements online?
King's Transit does. It's generally not that successful, and in locations around entrances and exits, we find that we end up with complaints about view plane. We're dealing with one of those on an existing bus shelter in a similar location now.
But remember, the money, if we decide to do it, would come out of the money out of King's Transit that they get for this type of thing.
Possibly. We had drained that account pretty thoroughly when we purchased the new bus, so it will be. That's why I'm saying we need to check on if council is supportive of it.
Sounds good.
I'll make a motion that staff do a review and make sure that the area is a safe and usable space for the shelter, and costing and funding that's available at this time.
And it's awesome that there's 15 people using the bus. That makes me feel. That makes my stress levels about the bus better.
We have a motion on the floor.
Seconded.
Seconder.
Seconded.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary minded. Next is the Wharf Rat Rally request, and I would like our staff opinion on this, please.
So this is something that we've discussed a number of times over the years. I think you all remember back to when I was in the deputy CAO role that issues around Wharf Rat Rally and the time trials. And council at that time, we had decided that with staff advice that the risk of liability with the time trials was too high. We communicated that to Wharf Rat. The current group is just exploring options and activities to try and enhance the event. They are accurate that we do host, what's the one that I can't remember the name. We do host a car event at the airport. We have a long history with the car event. The individuals are in cars, thus reducing the liability a lot. We certainly track their their record at the airport, safety issues, property issues. There have been none with that group.
Would we need additional insurance for something like this? Like a
It's
one-off?
not so much the additional insurance. There's just no way to get out of. There's liability when it's your site,
Yeah.
right? Like we would require coverage from Wharf-Rat. There's no question. But when it's your property,
And we're a
have
municipality.
you have liability exposure, and we are definitely larger than Wharf-Rat.
So they go right for us.
So there's just liability. That was the conversation historically around this. Is just we're the largest presence, so the liability exposure for us continues to be the greatest. It's not an event that I don't believe Wharf-Rat makes money from it or is not an extremely profitable, and we certainly don't. So the liability is still relatively high, or exposure for our organization.
So our recommendation is not a good idea for us to do.
Doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement.
Like something you gotta rush out to do.
And we lucked out with the guy from the PAC who broke his neck there and didn't sue. Who was it? That was at the mall, though, wasn't it?
That was, but there was an incident involving Wharf-Rat that we were indeed very, very lucky that we didn't have more liability
Yeah,
exposure.
he just
Is what prompted
luckily
us in
didn't
this
sue us.
direction.
He's a good guy.
I think we've gone 6 years at least that we have not hosted this.
Yeah, maybe it's a good idea after thinking of what happened to the last guy.
So should we send a letter of denial to Wharf-Rat?
What are you
Is that what you're
saying,
saying?
Angela? You guys?
I think so.
I'm gonna go with Jeff knows what he's talking about.
Great.
Don't let that go to your head, Jeff.
So we do need a motion on that then.
We do need a motion.
I'll move that we send a letter to Wharf-Rat Raleigh denying them use of the airport property.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can
Contrary
we
minded? Motion
Move the
carried.
popular things.
The next under information items, correspondence, National Veterans Week Speakers Program. As you saw, they brought forward some ideas that perhaps, we can have speakers in, go see people. It's what I brought it forward as an information item. The next was the Nova Scotia Provincial Housing Agency. The next one after that was a letter from the Municipality of Barrington, and then a thank you letter from the Digby Cancer Health Association. Did anyone want to bring up any business from any of those information correspondence items?
I heard they're changing the date because I noticed the Nova Scotia Provincial Housing. I'm just thinking about housing. Maybe this isn't the time to bring it up. I'll bring it up later, other time.
Okay. Okay, if there's no comments or concerns, we will go to the advisory committee minutes reports, which there are none. Other council committees, there's nothing listed. Under the joint intermunicipal committee minutes report, Southwest Nova Reserve Association March 1st minutes, the draft minutes of June 14th, the WCRL of March 16th, the June 16th draft AGM minutes, the WCRL annual report, and then the DART meeting package from June 2023. Does anyone have any questions on any of those?
Nope.
Okay, there's nothing listed on roadside board committee minutes or reports. So we will go to Councilor District Activity Reports. David, would you like to start first, please?
Yes, please. I wrote a letter to the Minister of Transport and the MP in regards to a local business that they spent a ton of money. They were told over and over again that July 1st, they would have their inspection. Apparently, there's only like one person for this end of the country for inspecting these, and safety for, say, a whale watch boat. And, so they've got a ton of money whipped into this. We have a 2-month tourist season, and they got to send somebody down if the guy's sick. The Kriston Chamont forwarded the letter as well, and hopefully it'll go well. I've been doing some organizing for Raymond Robichaud's 100th B-Day. After the last time I angrily talked to Zach Churchill, I angrily wasn't nice about the salmon cages, but I had to phone him back because OPA has something like a 85-year history with the Liberal Party. Was offered a Senate seat and things like that, like super liberal. So I figured the Liberals had to send something. So I got a hold of it. I swallowed my pride and got a hold of that. I was on the radio pumping up tourism and publicizing a local artist retreat. As you know, we had those issues with Jared, with the school board losing our math teacher, and we really put a lot of push, and we worked together, the SAC, and we were out of this new relationship with the board. We were able to get an extra teacher, additional math intervention, English intervention, long-term issues with the building fixed, and they're going to build us a new school. So that was an extremely positive, and it was a whole 1-year plan with multiple stages. It all came together wonderfully, and he wrote a wonderful letter of praise saying how wonderful they all were and sent it to his bosses, just like I wrote an angry letter complaining 10 months ago.
Your 2050?
No, don't say talk like that. So I was very happy about that.
I heard that before. When Gordon was in there, you had...
Oh, yeah, they did. They gave me $500,000. They did do a lot of work.
School.
That's not a new school, though. Yeah, I'm so happy about that. We got a semi-retired nurse practitioner kicking around that I've been eyeballing. We already have our nurse practitioner, and she's even doing house calls. Our therapist, as you know, had trouble finding people. I went to a bunch of community meetings, convinced everybody they should go to the therapist, told them all I'm going. Therapist told me I have to take 10 minutes off a day for myself, and that I have to stop work at 10:30. There. That's what she told me. So that's step 1. I don't know what step 2 is going to be. I'm thinking 15 minutes. I can't wait. Just to calm down. All right, dealing with a bunch of touchy village issues, like a whole bunch with each village. So we might be getting a meeting maybe with council in a couple of the villages. There's some stuff in the future that we gotta deal with it. The therapist now has a waiting list, and she's seeing people 2 days. So instead of nobody at all, it's now balling, as they say, the young people. Cognitive behavioral therapy, which has a lot of really good science behind it. It's one of the better ones. It's one I've had a high opinion of for a long time. Senior housing issues, that was pretty crazy. I had to get a hold of a whole bunch of people for that. The Food Hub application is in 8 months after I wanted it in. I had it sitting there, but I did the stuff myself. It's now in there, and you can always count on yourself. When it comes to these things. Grant work with seniors, continuing care, I'm still signing people up. I've had quite a few older folks that are, fallen and things like that, and their spouse can get $400 a month to look after them. And they can use that $400 for stuff like respite care and things like that. So that's been really good. We had the PAC public meetings. I'm helping the Legion find money. They're sort of in a danger zone. I'm worried that they're no longer going to be sustainable. But I found I had a woman just show up and say that she's organizing community meetings for 50 and over. And she mentioned she got money for a Legion. So I jumped all over that, and she's coming down. I've organized a meeting for that, and I'm also helping out with a meeting on food insecurity. Turning the tide. The guy I thought was going to help me is writing a proposal, and I'm trying to convince him the proposal should be. But hoping the proposal will say that there should be a food hub in Digby, and it should distribute to all the other 6 or 7 organizations as a resource, and that's what I'm thinking that's the argument that's going to be made. So that will, even though it didn't do what I hoped for the for the food hub, I'm still going to make use of it because I'll have something provincial to harass people over. Drove a person to the ER in Yarmouth. 12 hours. It was great. They had no money and there was no other way to get them there, so I had to do it. What else? Yeah, they've been keeping me. Oh, this is a funny one. I'm going to end on a humorous one. It's really tough to find someone that hasn't been arrested for the old male chaperones out there. It's ridiculous. You can't find a male chaperone to save your life. And I've been stuck with it for year after year, and I was like, this time I'm not doing it. Yeah, 2 days before, it had to be me. There's no one else. And I went, and one of the boys, they went to the mall. They'd never been to the mall. About half the kids had never been in a mall. And one of them goes to me, Mr. Tudor, what's that? It was an escalator. Never seen an escalator in his life. And the other guy, and they jumped on that escalator, and they went up and down and up and down, good 15 times. They rode the escalator. So it's not all frustration. Sometimes I have something funny happen, and there, good old my little friend Avery. What in the world is that?
First of all, there's no way you haven't been arrested. There's no way.
Okay, next. George.
I have been in a couple rides.
Let me see. At the end of early part, 1st of June, into May, 1st of June, me and my wife went to the Apple Blossom Festival opening in Kentville, and enjoyed that, for half an hour or so. Then there was the next day was Homeless No More was a meeting in Middleton that I went to, and it was eye-opening. Then there was spring into summer. We manned the booth at the rink.
Thank you for doing that, guys.
Week. And there's been helping a senior at home with some application forms for home improvements and stuff like that. So that's about it.
Okay, Angela.
I have been dealing with a lot of phone calls and meetings about housing, long-term care, food banks, and I also have a concern about the Bear Fire Department and all the medical calls, and I meant to mention it at the RCMP meeting last time that I haven't talked to any of the firefighters, but it just seems like the siren's constantly going, and they're constantly on Facebook saying they're making a medical call, and the ambulance is hours away, and I'm just thinking that these guys are volunteers, and it may be something. I'd just like to have a discussion, and I thought maybe sometime we can just have
some sort of remuneration.
A time when we can talk about, like I say, I know there's issues with long-term care and housing and food banks.
You're getting the same calls I'm getting, same 3.
But I am concerned about the fire department because, like I said, these guys are volunteers and they're answering medical calls, and I don't know what they actually.
We have the same problem.
Any chance you'd be able to have a conversation with the chief or someone from the department just to see to get their understanding?
Yeah. And I attended the FCM in Toronto from May 24th to 29th. The main focus of that I found was immigration and housing. Housing was a big item there. The Prime Minister arrived and said that there's lots of money available for housing, so we're hoping that soon comes. A lot of the ones I attended was had to do with housing, but I did attend a graffiti art tour, and I just thought, I know graffiti isn't an issue here, but I just thought it was kind of neat because they took the homeless people that were artists and they did like along the underpasses, and that was, and the art was spectacular. And actually one of the
Where was this? In Toronto?
In Toronto.
Really?
She took us, one of the artists took us on the tour, and she's homeless, and
wow.
There's another guy that lives under there, and he's a photographer, so he's photographing it. It's just kind of neat, and I just thought, and since that time, I've seen 2 different funding opportunities to have someone do murals and painting side crosswalks and stuff like that. So I just thought it might be something we could do, something in the future, like smaller scale. Tideview. I attended the Tideview 50th cake cutting ceremony. And actually, I got a email later from Deborah thanking me for coming and thanking the municipality for supporting their organization. And they're having a more formal one on July 29th from 11 till 1. I attended the open house of the Planning Advisory Committee for the Municipal Planning Strategy on the 13th and 14th. I attended the spring and the summer, and it seems like trails are on top of everybody's mind. The trail maps were going good, the tourism guides were going good, and a lot of interest in the recreation badges there, because Sharon had dropped off some of them at our booth as well. So, and like I just say, that seemed to be a big thing for people with the trails, whether they had people coming or they were going to do it themselves. And I issued, on behalf of the warden, I went to the Bond at Stock concert on the 23rd of June and issued them some certificates of appreciation for 50 years of entertainment.
Who's this? Bond?
Band from
Local band. 50 years.
They were formed 50 years ago, and they were playing downtown Digby, and they were overwhelmed because they had stuff from Chris D'Entremont, they had stuff from Jill, they had stuff from the Warden of Clare was there, and I was there representing the municipality, and Digby. Anyway, they were overwhelmed, and it took them a while to get refocused. But it was a nice evening, and I also attended the RCMP, and I wanted just to give people a heads up because lots of times I don't read these minutes, or else I don't include, especially the RCMP ones. And so I just wanted to bring up that I find that there's a real issue because they're saying nobody wants to be a police officer right now, and every organization is struggling. And I know, I'm just concerned that, like they said, now they're letting some of the military people be trained quicker than an RCMP officer, a cadet. But I just want people to be aware, so if it comes out, it's not a shock to everybody, because the last 2 meetings they've mentioned it, and
It comes out that there's even less that we have?
No, so it's not local, this is a national issue with recruiting. So basically, after the last 5 years of social media coverage and national news coverage, that recruitment efforts across, and this is nationally across all police forces, right? There's a front page article in the Chronicle Herald today about Halifax Police Force and their recruitment issues that they're having, and the fact that RCMP is taking a lot of their officers from them.
Yeah.
But this is
Linda?
Because RCMP has been heavily into all the municipal police forces across the country. I don't should say poaching, but talking and getting these officers to leave to go into the RCMP. There's also a webinar coming up about it, Angela, that I'll be sending over to you, as well as I will be attending, about the concern across the country. And I have a meeting coming up on July 3rd that we'll be discussing that as well.
oh yes.
Do we still have 9?
And there is actually a
July.
informal, July 12th, it's an informal policing.
I think any of you that can attend that NSFM session on July 12th, I think it's mentioned in every Monday memo.
It's solidified now.
Yeah, I've already.
I think any of you just adding voices to that conversation or seeing what's being discussed. It's like Angela said, it's being billed as an informal discussion, but it still should be very interesting.
At those RCMP meetings, guys, if you don't mind, pressure them on that person that I'm trying to get rid of down the aisle.
The SCM, David, is open to everybody.
Pardon me?
It's open to everybody.
One?
The RCMP thing?
This one coming up on the 12th.
What? On the 12th?
July 12th.
And I was finished my report last week.
Holiday.
The National Housing Coalition. It was just an update of what's been going on, and I think there I learned too that one of other groups, the senior safety, like I say, it's my fault because I'm probably not reading them when they come through, but she's been pleading, I guess, with the board for help with some certain issues, and I was unaware of it till last night, and I felt kind of bad, so I'm just trying to get us to maybe pay more attention to the minutes when we see them than just passing them on, or else when you're giving your report, if there's something major that you just just say it like I just did.
Yeah, actually, there was another issue that I wasn't too happy that I didn't know about until it had reached a serious point. So maybe there is, that makes some sense. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, anything else, Angela?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, well, I attended the FCM as well, and what Angela and I did, if she went to one session, I'd go to a different session, so that we were getting more bang for our buck, and Matthew was going to other sessions as well. There is some stuff coming in that I will be sending out to everybody, but it was an excellent conference. I also have been attending the marketing and promotions levy, and that's going along quite well. The only problem has been our staff is finding it a bit more than they imagined it would be. Is that the best way to put that, Jim?
Time consuming is the friendly term I've adopted. Time consuming.
All right, good for also, I want to thank both George and Angela for attending some events when we were away, or I was away, whichever it went. Also, we had oh my gosh, I went to the Mayor's Congress in Amherst, and where various things have gone on, and those minutes will be coming out. The biggest thing that came out of that, I guess, was the need to have the area fixed on the peninsula between Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. The feds are willing to give their share, and the province thinks that, but they want the province and both provinces to give their share, and then they want apparently the municipalities to give some, where the municipalities don't really have the money, and the provinces also feel that it shouldn't be done at all, it should be all the feds. Bottom line is, if we get cut off, it's not going to matter whose problem it is, it's going to be everybody's. That's really the bottom line. And they know it's coming, that it's going to be cut off. The only thing that's holding it back right now has been the railroad tracks. When you want to be on the train when that happens, huh? I also attended the Bentham Atlantic Summit for Digby Area Recreation Commission, where we're looking at different events coming, what we can do to get them here on our scale. Excuse me. Then I helped out the spring of the summer. I attended the ladies' auxiliary breakfast. I also attended the position graduation at the Angular Lodge, or Argyle Lodge in Old Argyle, where 7 of the residents was passed from Yarmouth. All are staying in Nova Scotia, none are coming to our area. One is going to Kingston. There's a couple that are going on to become specialists. But at least they're staying in Nova Scotia. I have also been on the phone with some people with some concerns with road issues, and also with some concerns about food and the whole 9 yards of poverty. And even though they're saying there's lots of jobs, there's some people working and can't find jobs. I don't know what the answer is. So I'm saying that I think that's everything I have to say. And we are going to be going into an in-camera session for contractual. I would like us to take a 5-minute break while we're getting ready, if you don't mind. I'm going to go get some medication, and then we can start again.
We do have a guest here.
We have a guest.
We have an audience member.
Lori, is there, guest is there anything that you wish to ask about that was on the agenda today?
Thank you, Linda. Maybe you can see me now.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Hi, I'm Nancy Robinson. I wasn't expecting to be given an audience, but if I'm offered, I always take them. Housing. Angela was at the meeting last night for the DASH resource group that we do online once a month. We missed a few months because I was too busy, but we will continue. George, I was at the same meeting as George, Reaching Home, and the numbers are horrendous. So we have a documentation of needs, which I can distribute to everybody. Alone here, Michelle, we had 40 people right away apply for the siesta. So the calls keep coming. Somebody said they put something online, Digby Talks, they got 700 calls.
Oh my God.
It's really urgent, and the only thing I would say is that we as a coalition will be approaching at some point, hopefully soon, to talk about the Housing Accelerator Fund that the CMHC is offering. They took away the seed funding. So we thought we could seed funding to help pay the architect, engineer, etc. They've cut that. In the middle of a housing crisis, they've cut that funding. But I think maybe that's what they were thinking, is they are now trying to get municipalities involved through the Housing Accelerator Fund, which is only for municipalities. But we are back up. We can help you do the Housing Action Plan. We're as a resource. We're here as a resource, just to tell you that. So we'll be sending out some information to you. Thank you to the audience.
Good to hear you're a resource. We definitely need that.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
So, before we go to the camera,
Maybe you had a
I would
question.
like us to have a 5-minute recess, please. And we'll come back.
Make a motion to go in camera.
Is
For
there
your
a
5-minute recess.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And now we will be in recess.